What's going on, everybody? My name is Zachary Cunningham, and I'm a writer-director based out of Detroit, Michigan. I've worked on short films. I just produced a feature film, done documentaries, have done it for fun, done it uh, for pay. I've worked professionally in it for about maybe 5-6 years. So I know my way around uh, different kinds of sets. Today, what I want to talk about is what I learned shooting a short film on Super 16 film. So I have a short film called Right On, and I'll put a link in the description. That we shot about a year ago. We shot on Super 16 film. We shot with a Ari SR2, shot by the amazingly talented DP Jeremy Brockman, and I can just say it was a crazy experience going through it, and it's a lot that I learned. And so hopefully, if any of you have thought about shooting on film, this video will be helpful, because I would say just off rip, it definitely takes a different type of preparation. The first thing I learned from shooting on film is that it slows you down like a lot. And what I mean by that is there is like with a digital camera, you can just put the camera up, press record, that's it. You can run through you pretty much don't even have to rehearse when you do digital, you just go. But with film, you can't look at the back of the screen. You're metering your DP, or if you shoot your own thing, you're metering the entire scene. You're metering every single point in the frame to make sure that the lighting is exactly perfect. It was my first time working with a director's viewfinder as well, and so like you're really thinking about how efficiently you need to move, because it's not like you can delete clips on film. You have to like really know your film, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. So it really slows you down. You really have to be present, and if you're not used to that, then you can get some really poor results. But if you embrace that opportunity to actually slow down, you can create something really special, and it forces you to lean on your collaborators. So whether you have a crew, your AD, of course there's a bonding process that goes on with every film set, even whether it's digital, whether you shoot on your iPhone. But when it comes to film, because everybody has to be on point, the bond that you get from shooting a project on film is like no other. The second thing I learned from shooting my short film on Super 16 millimeter film is that I learned that it's okay to lean on your actors. Right On is a 12-minute film, 12-minute short. We had we had 4 canisters initially that we bought a film, which is essentially like 45 minutes of footage. But then my DP, thankfully, was kind of nervous about the shooting ratio or whatever, and he bought 2 extra canisters from Kodak the night before. So that added an extra 22 minutes on what we had. So pretty much you're not dealing with a lot of footage. So I remember we did our first shot of the entire shoot, and Jeremy pulls me to the side, and he says, "Hey Z, that was 70 feet. I don't remember how much it was, but he was like, he had this mortified look on his face, like that was like 70 feet just right there." And so I'm like, okay, because I don't really know. And he's like, so yeah, this is going to be different. So our actors are pretty much getting like 1 to 2 takes max. And so that made me as a director step up to the plate and make sure that I was preparing them as best as I possibly could in order for them to execute when we said action. That leads me to the third thing that I learned from shooting a film on Super 16 millimeter film. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. And when I say rehearse, I don't mean before you get to set. I mean that when you are on set, you have to rehearse, because typically on digital sets, we just pretty much film the rehearsal. We film the first take, and that's pretty much a rehearsal. Shooting on film, you want to make sure that everything is right before you roll that camera, especially if it's like camera movements or if it's like a oneer. Like I think we had 2 oneers in the film where we just kind of just let the camera move and let the camera stay still and the actors are just staying in their space or moving throughout the space. You have to really like rehearse. So you might get 2 to 3 rehearsals before you even run that one take. And that within itself is I think it's helpful for the actors. A lot of actors aren't used to that, but it allows them to kind of get within their muscle memory whatever it is they're doing, and then they can just be on set. They can be free with whatever it is they're trying to perform. We had a shot list, we had everything, but pretty much we had to get, just say, I don't even remember how much it was, but just say we had to get 20 shots and we pretty much only had time for 7. So pretty much what I had to do was, typically when I shoot, and like in my other short film, Little Church, we run the entire scene from each angle, pretty much, just to have like clean cut points. But when we're shooting on film, you can't really do that. You can't really run long takes like that. Again, like I said, you have 11 minutes per magazine or per roll. Because we were behind and because we didn't have as much film as like you would digitally, because it's like infinite digitally because you just offload, I had to cut the film in my head. So like Don, our main actor, I would say, Don, you say these 2 lines, take 2 beats, and then move to another position, and then you say these 2 lines. So we're not running the scene straight through. And like, so we pretty much had to do that. So I always joke that Right On only cuts one way. It cuts the way in which it was in my head, because we only have the footage that you see on film. I think it's only one shot in the entire film that isn't, only one shot that we got that isn't in the actual film itself. You really have to know your film inside out, and you really have to know how it starts, how it ends. You got to know all the cuts. So really being present with your art is very, very important when you're shooting film. And I learned that a lot. And I remember I was watching a video where Chris Nolan was talking about following, and he was just basically explaining the same position that we were in. And he said, hey, every director should go through that at least once. And I went through it, and it was extremely stressful at the time. But once we came out on the other end, it was like, wow, like that's being a director. Like that's really figuring it out. And that's how I felt about it. And it was crazy. The last thing that I want to say about shooting on Super 16 or just film in general, I've never shot 35 millimeter, but the last thing I want to say about shooting on film is just, it's just a very gratifying experience, because you have to be present. You can't, like sometimes when we shoot digital, we just like kind of go through the motions, but with film, you can't really do that. You have to be present, because like they say, time is money. Like that really matters with film, because you can't just delete the footage. So you have to be present with your actors. You have to be present with your crew. You have to be present with your DP, with your producers. Like my wife does my wardrobe. My wife was literally 9 months pregnant, and she does all the wardrobe in all of my films when we were filming. So she's on set. So I'm like, hey man, she can pop at any time. I told my AD, I'm like, hey, if my wife goes into labor while we on set, you're going to have to finish the film for me. So again, back to that bond that I mentioned earlier, just everybody being present, it creates a bond that you can't really mimic on a digital set. I think, well, I'm not gonna say you can't mimic, because I'm sure on big films like The Revenant or something like that, they got to do the same thing. But I would say at this level, like, it's so different, and it's just so fulfilling. Like when after we shot right on, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. Now, I'm not saying that I want to shoot it. I'll take a good while before I ever shoot on film again. But I do think that it was an experience that I needed to go through, and I'm very, very proud of the final product. And I remember when we sent the film to Spectra, film and video out in LA, and I talked to the guy, and he was like, "Man, this is some of the best Tri-X footage I've ever seen." And he was like, "It looks like a film from the 60s." And I'm like, "Well, it's a period piece. It's meant to be in the 60s." And so that was like so gratifying for him to even say that, because we really put in the work to make it a good film, and execute it as best we could. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys, and let me know in the comments what you want to hear from me. I got like a list of videos that I'm going to do, but I still want to know like what people want to hear from me in terms of I guess like the philosophical aspect of filmmaking. I don't want to make too many like gear videos. I mean, I will do that, but I want to kind of get into like why we create, motivations, things like that. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please like this video, subscribe to the YouTube page. Follow me on Instagram at Zachary.Cunningham. Keep creating, keep inspiring, and just live life and try to be present at every moment. All right, peace.